What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. So some of my favorite episodes to make are watch comparison episodes. We call them watch versus watch here, and I have a full playlist of these episodes. You can click up here. I pit 2 watches, sometimes 3 watches, sometimes 4. I think I've done. We pit them against each other, and we see which one comes out on top. Today, I have 2 watches I never thought I would really compare. Didn't really make sense to me. A few people recommended this comparison, and on the surface, I was like, I don't know how much these watches have in common. But then, the more I thought about it, I was like, oh wait. You talking to me? I turned into, oh my God, I almost said Danny DeVito. That was my Robert De Niro impression, but for some reason, Frank Reynolds was in my head, and I was like, I don't know. I'm having a stroke on camera right now, I think. Anyway, on the surface, this comparison didn't make sense, but, you know, immediately after, I was like, wait a minute, this totally makes sense. Hello? So without further ado, the Seiko SBBN 031 Tuna versus Casio G-Shock Mudmaster triple sensor. The real Mudmaster, not this new carbon core triple sensor plus a step counter. This ain't a Fitbit. Let's do it. It's 3:54 p.m. Let's get down to business. That's right, the Seiko Tuna versus the Casio G-Shock Mudmaster. It might be clear just by the name, you know, that one is more nautical themed and the other one is more land based. But if we look a bit closer and we dig a little bit deeper, you know, you can't judge a book by its cover. If we dig a little deeper, we can probably find a few more crossovers when it comes to these 2 watches. For starters, both of these watches are pinnacles when it comes to, you know, capability, resilience, and robustness. Is that a word? Robustness. These are both the toughest watches each company makes. Okay, like clearly the Seiko Tuna SBBN 031 with the 7C46 movement. This is one of the most capable watches that Seiko has. The Mudmaster, easily top of the line, one of the most robust G-Shocks ever made. And as I just mentioned, yes, Seiko Tuna, 7C46 movement, again, that metal shroud, just an absolute beast of a watch. And the Mudmaster, it's, you know, a G-Shock, but on steroids. And I've actually mentioned numerous times on this channel, you know, both of these would really be my SHTF watches. I can't say the S word on YouTube because if you swear, YouTube. Bad boys. But yeah, because of how capable these 2 watches are, it only makes sense we gotta pit them against each other. So let's start off with the specs. First up, Seiko Tuna SBBN 031. Now this has a double domed Hardlex crystal. It's got a 300 meter water resistance rating. It is anti-magnetic, and again, the shroud and the case, it is stainless steel. It's about 48 millimeters in diameter, and the thickness, I actually have a note because I forgot it, 14.7 millimeters thick. Of course, it's got a threaded crown. It's also got a screw down case back. It's about 189 grams, hefty little watch, and the price right now online, average price about $1,035. On to the Casio G-Shock Mudmaster triple sensor. So okay, first off, we gotta mention the dimensions here on this baby. 59.5 by 56.1 by 18 millimeters. This is chunky all around. Interestingly enough though, it's actually lighter than the Tuna, coming in at 119 grams. This has got a 200 meter water resistance rating, and the average price online right now at the time of filming is $750. But guys, it wouldn't really be a proper rundown of this watch if I didn't pull up Casio's full spec sheet. So let's talk about everything this watch does. First up, they list that it has a resin band. This does not have a resin band because I switched it out for a Barton canvas strap. If you want to see exactly how I did that, click on this episode. We're going to talk more about the G-Shock straps in a second, but just know this is not the factory band. Okay, comes with a resin band, mud resistant, neo bright, screw down lock crown, vibration resistant, shock resistant, sapphire glass with non-reflective coating, 200 meter water resistance, we already talked about that, double LED light. I'm going to show a close-up of that as well. We're going to talk about that a little bit. It's got tough solar. It's solar powered. Time calibration, signal reception, atomic timekeeping, a whole bunch of signals that it picks up, auto hand home position correction, digital compass, altimeter, barometer, thermometer, world time with 29 different time zones, stopwatch, countdown timer, 5 daily alarms, hourly time signal, hand shift feature, battery level indicator, power saving, full auto calendar to year 2099, excuse me, button operation tone on off, a 12 or 24 hour format, regular timekeeping, accuracy within plus minus 15 seconds per month with no signal calibration, approximate battery operating time 6 months on rechargeable battery operation, blah, 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 exposure to light 25 months on rechargeable, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this watch does a whole lot and it keeps a charge for a good long while. So with that being said, okay, it is clear that G-Shock wins out simply when we're looking at all the bells and whistles, because when we compare that to the Tuna is a much more simple watch. Like, it has a very innovative, robust movement. However, the only real bells and whistles the Tuna has is a day-date complication. And again, we could add a plus to the G-Shock simply because it's solar powered. Again, from a convenience standpoint, that's incredible. This is always going to be running as long as it has a light source. Now, the Tuna does have a 5 to 7 year battery life, and it also does have an end of life indicator where if the second hand clicks twice, you know that it needs to be changed out. But again, if you're going to own these watches for a long period of time and this happens to hold up past that 5 to 7 year mark, it's nice to know that this will still be running as long as it has light, excuse me. But this, you know, after 7 years tops, you probably will have to replace the battery. But what about sheer durability? Because as I said, these are my two, you know, heavy hitters. Now guys, full disclosure, I do not fully have, you know, the resources yet to do a proper torture test and destroy a Seiko Tuna and a Mudmaster because these are fairly pricey watches. The channel's not there yet, but help me get there, guys. Come on, help me shop at the Time Teller shop and then we can wreck these watches on camera. But just based upon many other people's experiences, G-Shocks are very tough. We all know that. However, there is a downfall. Resin. Okay, resin's very good at absorbing blows, taking some hits, taking some good knocks, but inevitably and eventually this material does break down. In some cases it gets brittle, sometimes it chips off, it crumbles, and you're left with the inner workings of the G-Shock. Now, have I gotten to the point where I've, you know, crumbled and destroyed a G-Shock? Absolutely not. However, some of the straps on my older G-Shocks have gotten to that point and I've had to replace them. So when it comes to sheer strength and durability, I would honestly go with my Tuna, actually, with its stainless steel shroud protecting that mostly metal 7C46 movement. This thing's gonna take some blows and yeah, it might dent, yeah, it might nick, but it's not going to crumble up over time. And don't get me wrong, don't twist my words. I'm not trying to say that the resin that G-Shock uses is vulnerable, because that's far from it. This is a very, very resilient watch. I beat the crap out of this Mudmaster. You guys see my camping videos over on Time Away. Like, all my G-Shocks take a bunch of abuse and they're holding up just fine. So I haven't gotten to the point where I've broken up or crumbled up the resin cases, but a simple search on a lot of the watch forums, a lot of people have. Tuna, knocked it around, has some dents, has some nicks, still right as rain. Okay, so let's talk about the movements for a moment, because they are watches, so we need to talk about movement. NVMT. Now, as I mentioned earlier when we looked at the spec sheet, the Casio Mudmaster, G-Shock Mudmaster I should say, uses a solar-powered movement, and simply from a convenience standpoint, that is great. I love it. Has big, robust hands, seems to be a very robust movement. Nothing wrong there. And again, it does have atomic timekeeping, and for my longtime viewers, you know I kind of have a love-hate relationship with atomic timekeeping. It is very convenient and it is very cool. There are some apps you can get on your phones nowadays that can speak to the watch and mimic an atomic, the radio waves, and you can, you know, set your time zones and mess around that way. What I don't like about atomic timekeeping is that a lot of companies, including G-Shock, unfortunately, they bump up the price sometimes to 2 to 3 times the price of a non-atomic timekeeping variant, and I don't think that attribute is worth 3 times the price of a non-atomic timekeeping G-Shock. It doesn't really equate there. Another thing I really don't like is NIST can simply just decide to turn off the you know, radio signals. I don't like the idea of a government organization similar to like the DMV being like, yeah, we're not getting the funding, so we're just going to turn off the radio signal. It's kind of silly. I don't think that, I think it's a cool attribute. I don't think it's as valuable as the companies make it out to be. There, I said it. So, okay, atomic timekeeping, solar power capabilities, very cool. But again, let's look at this from a longevity standpoint. Inevitably, if you own this watch for a good long while, if you own either of these watches for a good long while, something's going to have to be repaired. Maybe. Have I encountered any issues with either of these? Absolutely not. Have I beaten up both of these? Yes. But let's just say you own these for most of your life. Something might go wrong to the point where you have to take these watches in. This solar-powered movement from Casio is not serviceable. This Tuna's 7C46 movement, it is quartz, a high-torque quartz movement. It is fully serviceable. It is jeweled. It is mostly using metal components, and it is a powerhouse of a power plant. So again, from a longevity standpoint, it's kind of nice knowing that if this did need to be taken in, it could be worked on by a watchmaker. But again, I have to say it, I don't really think that's a very big deal because I don't foresee having any problems with these watches because again, they're both absolute beasts. But we are doing a comparison, so it's something to think about. On to wearability. Now guys, this is where it gets somewhat subjective, okay? I know everything I say is, you know, coming from my standpoint, but especially when we're looking at wearability, something might be more versatile, more comfortable, or more wearable to you than it is to me. Different strokes for different folks, that's fine. So let's talk about the Mudmaster first, okay? On paper, the Mudmaster is bigger in pretty much all metrics than the Tuna. And when we're looking side by side, you know, you think the Tuna's big, this thing practically dwarfs it with all its extra, you know, chunks and doodads there. Interestingly enough though, Mudmaster is substantially lighter on the wrist. This Tuna, big hunk of metal, big metal shroud, again, that bulky 7C46 movement, and then the bracelet, the substantial amount of material on your wrist. However, the Mudmaster out of the box is fitted with a very, very thick, very rigid resin or silicone strap, whatever you want to call it. And if you're like me and you're someone that has sensitive skin, those resin bracelets, or those resin straps, excuse me, they give me somewhat of an allergic reaction. And I've done the whole thing where, oh, wear it looser, you're wearing it too tight. Well, I've worn it pretty loose, and still that reaction, I guess, with my skin or with the oils of my skin or with the sweat, I get something of a heat rash. So I have had to switch out all my G-Shock bands for aftermarket straps. And it is, full disclosure, a bit of a process, okay? It's not as simple as just poking out a spring bar and replacing the strap. You have to spend extra money on adapters on top of spending money on an extra strap. So it's kind of a downside to this. Whereas with the Tuna, if you don't like the bracelet, then go ahead. This has drilled lugs, boop, 1, 2. All you have to do is pick up a different strap and you're good. So you're saving some money, and then also it's just much more of a simplified process. Although it's kind of a wash in the end because the Tuna is also more expensive than this. So whatever. But again, if you want to see the process of changing the strap on a G-Shock, you can click up here and watch that episode. Now I mentioned the G-Shock has a aftermarket Barton canvas strap that I'm a big fan of. The Tuna is currently on its factory bracelet. The bracelet has a really nice diver's extension, very, very cool. Ratcheting, very positive, very robust, very strong, very comfortable. However, gotta be honest, I prefer this on a canvas strap. I've been sporting it on the bracelet recently just to change it up because I want to, I don't know, I go through phases. I wanted to have some more metal. Wanted to have some more metal in my collection, so I put this back on its bracelet, but I think in the near future I'm gonna go back to like a canvas strap or maybe a single piece NATO. But yeah, this, again, though, it is a lot of metal. Now to Lume. Okay, both of these watches have incredible lume. Again, the indexes on the Tuna are very, very bold. The hands are huge, and there's a whole lot of proprietary Bright lume on those indexes and hands. So this thing like is a fireball when it picks up the light. Seriously, this glows incredibly. Maybe one of the best, most vibrant watches I have when it comes to lume. Even the pip up here, it picks up so much light and glows like a freaking lighthouse. The G-Shock also has surprisingly good lume, but this literally has a light as well. So, I mean, come on. This probably wins just because it has a light. So in low light visibility, probably got to give it to G-Shock as much as I want to give it to the Tuna because the Lume Bright, incredible. The Tuna has a timing bezel, just like, you know, your classic dive watches. Rotate this over to the minute hand. Very nice timing bezel. You put it towards the minute hand, you line up the pip, and then you can see how much time has elapsed. But the Mudmaster literally has timers, so you probably have to give it to the Mudmaster. Now they both have threaded crowns. The G-Shock has a 200-meter water resistance rating. The Tuna, 300, so I guess a point to the Tuna, but again, we're never going to test these that deep, but it's nice to know that these are both very capable underwater. So when we look at these watches, both of them, and analyze both of them from most metrics, they're absolute animals, they're absolute beasts, they're powerhouses, and they're tough. But they do have their differences. And I think it all comes down to this. If you want something very high-tech, with a ton of different functions, a ton of different bells and whistles, you want to beat the heck out of it, and you want it to do a lot of things, G-Shock. Mudmaster, triple sensor, no-brainer. But if you want something a little more versatile that feels a little bit more like a traditional watch on your wrist, and I know I never thought I would describe the Seiko Tuna as a traditional classic watch because by most metrics, again, it's not a traditional watch. If you compare this to any other watch, like my date right here, this is not a traditional watch. But when you compare it to something as beastly as a Mudmaster, it makes the Tuna look kind of vanilla, actually. Weird, I never thought I'd say that. So if you want something a little bit more versatile, again, you can put this on a NATO strap, you can put this on a Cordura strap, you can put this on a sailcloth strap, heck, you can even put this on a leather strap. If you want something more versatile, but that's still incredibly capable, it can take a knock, you can beat it up, and you don't have to baby it at all, Seiko Tuna. But listen, it obviously all comes down to personal preference, and I don't think you can go wrong with either of these. Now, the last thing that I have to mention, just because it is a comparison, the Seiko Tuna is a few $100s more expensive than the Mudmaster. That being said, you can probably have an easier time reselling the Seiko Tuna and taking less of a hit than you would if you tried to resell a G-Shock. Again, I don't think that's that big of a deal. I don't really buy watches with that in mind, but I get a lot of questions about that, so I thought I'd bring it up. But all in all, okay, in conclusion, both of these are my heavy hitters. They remain my SHTF. Had to do that in my head. My bleep hits the fan watches. They're both absolute tanks. Not a Cartier tank, but like an Abrams. But let me know in the comment section, which one of these would you choose and why? Well, there you have it, guys. Another watch versus watch in the books. And I had a lot of fun looking at these watches, playing with these watches, and kind of seeing how they fit up against each other. But again, let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this episode, if you had a laugh, if you learned something new, even if you hated it, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on more of this content. And yeah, what are you doing? Shop at my Amazon affiliate store, link in the description below. That's a great way of supporting the channel. Again, my website, www.thetimetellershop.com. Every watch there is handpicked by me, serviced by my professional watchmakers with a 1-year warranty. What are you doing, guys? Every time I restock, they get scooped up and then people complain to me about it. Jump on it. When I tell you to go there, go there. But easily, far and away, the easiest way to support the channel is just to watch the episodes and subscribe. So do that. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with everyone you know. Share it with the whole entire world. Scream it from the rooftops. The Time Teller channel changed my life. We are almost at 80,000 subscribers. By the time you see this, we might have hit 80,000 subscribers. Ridiculous. Thank you so much, guys. I love you. I never thought we'd be here. Thank you. So with all that being said, I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time, I just tell it. Love you guys. Real quick, if you enjoyed this episode, then do not worry, the fun doesn't need to stop here. Check out these recommended episodes that are going to be popping up on the screen anytime now. Also, take a moment, check out my brand new channel, the Time Away channel. It's where I talk about everything outside of the watch world, some of my other collections, some of my other hobbies. And if you're not interested in any of that, don't worry, just stay right here and I will see you right here. Because I never leave. I am trapped inside of this camera.